Welcome to Think Tech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidel.
And I'm Duke Oishi.
In our show tonight, we'll cover the amazing groundbreaking of the new Sempra wind farm at Auwhahi at Ulupalakua Ranch on Maui.
We'll talk with some of the people who attended and hear the remarks of the dignitaries who spoke that day.
Ulupalakua Ranch, south of Kula, along the slope below the southern rim of Haleakala, is one of the most beautiful places in the islands. It's quite remote. The views from the ranch are quite spectacular, and the wind is strong and consistent. The perfect place for a high-tech wind farm. What's more, it's the perfect diversification for Ulupalakua Ranch, which is a working cattle ranch, but which also needs diversified sources of income. Wind is exactly what the doctor ordered.
ThinkTech recently attended the dedication of the Auwhahi wind farm, which Sempra will be building at Ulupalakua. First, we drove out to the Ulupalakua Ranch Center, then took a four-wheel drive down to the meadow where the wind farm will be built so we could attend the blessing and groundbreaking for the project. It was a spectacular sight and a touching ceremony.
There's a lot in the works, a lot in the queue right now, and we're just looking at everything that's possible. We just want to make sure, though, that we're able to provide reliable power to our customers.
So are you a neighbor nearby?
Right next door is Kaiki Nui, that's where I'm from.
Homelands.
Hawaiian Homeland, yeah. They're helping us with our road,
Oh, good.
Sempra,
Good.
and we appreciate what everybody's doing for us.
The neighborhood supports
Yes.
this project. That's great.
Because if we do get our road in, we get the people who have the land along the road, they would come in and develop their place maybe. Because right now it's so bad that's why they don't want to come up and do anything, but then maybe they can start doing their place and we can get help from the community, we get more people in and get more help. Because right now we get like maybe 6 or 7 of us taking on our association, and we're just changing hats.
You need more people.
we need more people, more participants, more help.
And this could actually be a big thing. This could help the neighborhood come alive. No?
Yeah, and then the next, if they want to put up more windmills, they can put them up on our side, and we can benefit from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, are people okay with that? With the notion of having a windmill nearby?
Well, I don't see why not, because it's for your energy. It's you get wind, you get sun, you get all this energy, natural energy. Why you need to depend on fuel and all that? It's make use of what you have. You have all these natural things.
Yeah.
Like us, we don't have electricity out here.
Oh.
We have to depend on the wind and the solar, and even generator. We need gas for that. So all that we have to get away from.
So this will change things, but you'll still have your homelands.
Yeah.
And it's still a beautiful, beautiful place.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And it still can be, with this modern technology, you can still make it work for you. I don't think our ancestors would let this go, and then, because they never had the equipment, they never had all this stuff, but they did beautiful work.
Yeah.
But now you get equipment, you get all these things that you can use, you can do better.
Yeah.
It's modern technology, that's what I...
The wind farm site will be well below the road in a windswept ranch pasture facing Lanai to the west. It will include 8 400-foot high-tech turbines at a cost of $4 million each, generating a total of 21 megawatts for the Maui grid and lighting some 10,000 homes.
Then we drove back up to the ranch center. More than 150 dignitaries, friends and neighbors of the ranch had arrived for the dedication, including Lieutenant Governor Brian Schatz and Maui Mayor Alan Arakawa. The mood was joyous, and there was an element of celebration in the air.
Generating power like we're doing here in our own backyard, locally, is going to be the future of energy generation in the United States, and Hawaii is on the forefront of that. When the project's completed, a few facts for you here. There's going to be 8 turbines, and those 8 turbines will generate enough power locally here in Maui to power 10,000 homes.
This project is about balance. We as individual human beings are always constantly in balance between our work and our family. We work to put food on the table for our family, and we have to balance out the time that we have at work to be with our family and have time. And we as people love to travel. We like to fly on an airplane to go visit some other place. We like to get in a car and go to the movies or go to dinner or go someplace. We like to get on the computer, cell phone, use energy. We all have that, and we are trying to find that balance because we like to use these things. We like to travel. We like the energy, but we have to balance the environment and the natural resources, which are in finite supply, to get that balance. In Ulupalakua's case, we are constantly in balance. Everything we do is trying to find balance. We constantly try and find balance with the amount of cattle that we have in a pasture to the amount of grass that that pasture has.
When we first started looking at the project, Sumner came up to called me and said, we want to start a project up here. Let's go take a ride in the ranch land. And as we drove down into the location that the project will be built on, it was amazing to me what was there. Lava fields, pasture land. In my mind, I'm thinking, the wind is blowing, it looks very good, but can we do it? And of course, Sumner has always had that vision. And I want to thank the Erdman family for their vision in renewable energy.
The origin of the Renewable Portfolio Standard stems from a law that was originally passed in 2002. And I'm really glad that he's here today to help in this celebration. But Senator Kalani English was my counterpart in the legislature. He is chair of the Senate Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection, and myself as chair of the House Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection. We worked together in passing that bill. But also involved in that bill was the Lieutenant Governor, who was the vice chair of the House Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection. So I'm glad they're both here today.
I want to commend Sempra and the Erdmans on their willingness to work with my staff and develop a plan to provide roads to the Hawaiian homestead in Kihikinui. For more than 20 years, the lack of roads have left Hawaiian families unable to build homes and to live on their lots of the homestead. This wind farm, by providing upfront for an urgent community need, has set a good example for us to build on as we try to find a way to balance the cost and benefits of new projects.
This is truly a momentous day, and I want all of you to remember this day because this is really the beginning of Maui's energy independence. And this is something that our children and our grandchildren will remember. Coming up here today, you know, Leona, all of you know Leona Nomura, was telling, she's the only one that could tell the mayor that he was late, by the way. But coming up here, Leona said something that was just absolutely profound to me. You know, she said, we're not doing this for us today, we're doing it for those in the future.
And this is an extraordinary event in a lot of ways, but one of the ways is that everybody under the tent played a role, whether it was advocacy and community support, whether it was government regulations, whether it was contract negotiations, whether it was financing, whether it was, I see all of the members of the Public Utilities Commission, John, Mike, I still call her Chair Morita because she told me when I was her vice chair, She said, Brian, I don't care what job you ever get, you're always going to be my vice chair. So.
While we were there, we were also able to catch up with some of the Sempra executives on the project and other VIPs and visitors who had come for the occasion.
We've begun digging the well. We've started construction on some of the Met towers. The windmills themselves will arrive in Maui the last week of July.
Coming soon.
Yes, coming soon. And then we'll start moving up onto the property in August. And so we are going to be up and running by the end of the year.
What about the battery? How big is that? And how do you install or construct that?
Yeah, we'll actually get shipped in a sealed container already. The size of it, it's about an 11 megawatt battery. And so, you know, what those batteries do is they actually serve as a shock absorber. So it's not really what people would think about of a battery that you would, you know, maybe generate the electricity in the morning and then at night you're going to start delivering it to the grid. What this battery does is it helps make sure that we can deliver a smooth and consistent source of electricity to the power grid.
What cattle ranchers get paid has definitely not kept up with all of the other costs. Labor costs, electricity costs, gasoline costs, insurance costs. All other things that all our inputs have gone up steadily, you know, 6, 8, 10%.
Yeah, sure.
And really, if you take it over 40 years, the price of cattle's really only done about a 1% growth on that. And so at some point, it becomes very difficult to try and sustain, and you can only grow. And then you get hit by a couple droughts, which we've been hit with, and it just makes it almost impossible. So for us, diversification is key.
If some foreign power were to decide tomorrow that, well, they want to raise the prices, double, triple, quadruple the prices, they could. If they wanted to say, well, the market's too small, we don't want to service Hawaii, they could move to China and move all of the resources there. And we're helpless to force a decision. If we have 100% alternative energy, we will be self-sufficient and we won't have to depend on the mercy of some foreign country. And you know, many of these foreign countries are at war with the United States as well. So the economic and political wars can have an effect on what we are doing. So we're trying to get away from that.
We're burning oil for electricity. It costs too much and it's bad for the environment. So adding 21 megawatts of clean energy to the Maui grid is critical. The other thing that's exciting about this project is that 10 megawatt hours of battery storage. It's an extraordinary amount of battery storage, and it's going to be able to help us to solve that problem of intermittency, which, as you know, Jay, is with clean energy, sometimes it comes and sometimes it goes. It depends on the weather. And so this will smooth out those variable electricity generation problems and really help us there. And the third thing, and maybe this is actually the most important, I think it's certainly why the feeling in the air is so excited and joyful, and that is that this is a business model that we've done on the North Shore of Oahu now, that we're doing here, that assists local farms, local ranches in staying in agriculture.
So this will be, you know, 21 megawatts. It's a big chunk of what we need. Also creating the local support base for the renewable energy industry. Because a lot of times people talk about wanting renewables, but then when the practice comes, you know, when they actually say, we're putting it in, they go, oh, I don't like how that looks. I'm not too comfortable with this. So we're doing two things. We're creating the base to make the power. We're also helping people do the psychological shift away from oil and to our own power that we create here, which means we have to see it, we have to feel it, we have to touch it.
The sense of accomplishment, and I think that's one of the challenges for our energy policy, that we really need to be aware of the benchmarks and the progress that's being made. Sometimes we get so lost in the detail, we don't see how far we've come.
It's really about showing we can do it. I mean, as an economic developer, you know, on an island in the Pacific, you know, part of the challenge is you're on an island in the Pacific, you know, what can you really do that's, you know, earth-shattering, whatever, and how can you possibly think about doing something like this? And we show it can be done.
I've been with Sempra for about 10 years. We built natural gas plants, solar plants, wind plants, all over the country, all over the world. And this is the most unique, right? I mean, it's Maui for one. It's the most beautiful location you could ever ask for. It's the most amazing wind we've ever seen anywhere.
Possible new corporate citizen and they realize the great, amazing history that is involved in the site. I really commend Sempra.
Now that the groundbreaking is done, Sempra will move on to construction. The 8 turbines will arrive in Maui in July and will be carefully transported through Kihei and Wailea to Ulupalakua over the summer. Then they'll be erected on site during the fall and ready for connection and operation by the end of the year. This is such an exciting project, and ThinkTech will, of course, continue to cover the story.
The neighboring Hawaiian Homelands community is very supportive of the project, and the benefits package from Sempra will include water and new roads for their community. From what we learned, they are looking forward to the completion of the project, as well as other wind projects in the future.
Auwhahi is a third wind project on Maui, following in the footsteps of the first and second projects at Kaheawa on the mountains in the southwest of the island. When Auwhahi is completed, Maui will have 72 megawatts of wind, or just about 1/3 of its peak demand, and that's just fantastic. What a success story for Ulupalakua, for Maui Electric, and for Maui.
Yes, given the wind projects that have moved forward over the past year at Kahuku and Kauailoa on Oahu, and at Kahiava and Ulupalakua on Maui, wind is alive and well in Hawaii and a leading renewable in our portfolio. But wouldn't it be great if we could also move ahead with big wind in Molokai and Lanai? Isn't it time we do that? Is there really any legitimate reason not to do that? The answer is no. And the point is that for now, wind is our best renewable, and we ought to make maximum use of it to save our state from oil.
And now for our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
ThinkTech's 4 to 5 p.m. weekday drive time radio series on KGU 760 AM continues this week, covering business, Asia, tech, energy, the arts, and government. Tune into 760 AM every weekday at 4 p.m. and raise your awareness on ThinkTech Radio.
And you guessed it, on May 24th, the Hawaii Venture Capital Association and ThinkTech will present And you guessed it, on May 24th, the Hawaii Venture Capital Association and ThinkTech will present a luncheon panel program called Broadband in Hawaii, What We Can Do to Get Up to Speed, with a number of speakers and panelists to cover the move from what we have now to ultra high-speed broadband, the challenges involved, and how it'll change our state. Sign up for these programs on hvca.org. And now, here's Bill Spencer, President of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, with this week's Spensation.
I think about Act 221 a lot, Bill, because it's this fantastic vacuum. You know, it's like it went swoosh away, leaving this vacuum, and nobody's been able to figure out how to fill the vacuum. And there's still the vacuum. And you know, when people say, what happened to the tech industry? Well, it went away with 221. But all is not lost. The accelerator got passed by the legislature just this week, and we should know more about it. What happened?
Well, the accelerator concept, of course, is taking off all over the country. There are numerous examples, a lot of youthful enthusiasm about starting businesses, and if that energy can be channeled effectively, then that's a good thing. It's a chicken and egg situation. Some people will say that if you have good quality deal flow, that the money will come. On the other hand, other people will say that if you don't have money, then the deal flow will go elsewhere. So I think the accelerator opportunity is the opportunity to create deal flow and get some entrepreneurs teamed up and get their skills built up so that they could qualify for money if it becomes available. But the days of incentive for people to invest are gone. Even though about 20 states in the mainland have adopted programs similar to 221 to address the economic downturn, we sort of went the other way.
Sounds like the state's expectations and standards for the development of a tech industry have been significantly lowered between the time 221 died, its premature death, and the passage of this accelerator bill. We've reset our sights, but on a much lower target. Am I right?
It's really capital that we need to have in our own backyard, and that's still lacking. The fact is that there's not enough local money being invested in local companies. It's being put into the hands of money managers on the mainland, and it's not finding its way back to Hawaii.
Why can't another bill incentivizing capital investment be passed through the legislature? Is this too hot to handle still?
Well, I don't think the leadership and the legislature is patient enough. For in these times we need patient investment capital, and of course we hit a bump in the road with the economic downturn for sure. But that's the time to invest. That's not the time to pull back. And I think that's where Hawaii came out on the short end of the stick, as we reacted in the wrong way. Instead of investing more, instead of keeping the momentum going, we pulled back to save money in the short term. And I think the effect is going to be that we're going to lose a lot of those startups to the mainland.
We're in the 21st century, and a lot of places in this country, and for that matter the world, have taken on tech as an industry. So the question is, when we get it together, if we ever do, are we going to be able to catch up?
It could be tough. I think we're in sad shape if we don't reorganize our priorities.
Yeah, so I guess the bottom line is congratulations to HSDC and Carl Fuchs and its partner in the effort, HTDC and Yuka Nagashima, for having gotten the accelerated bill through. It is the first glimmer of hope, really, since the failure of 221, but we need a lot more than that, Bill.
A lot more, Jay.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, thank you.
And here's our co-working entrepreneurs, Rachung Fujihira and Tony Stanford, to keep us current on their latest adventures at the Box Jelly.
Well, this week we've been working on many different things, but it's all coming back to one thing that we strongly believe in, is helping the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem in Hawaii. Isn't that right?
That's correct. This past week has been we're taking great strides, and just seeing how the ecosystem is kind of coalescing is a great thing. We had Startup Weekend, which was great. I think from last year, you remember we were right across the street, and then we came back and we did like a quick thing. Well, this past year was really good because the quality of teams was higher, the quality of judges was great. We had 3 judges for the mainland, 2 from 500 startups, 1 from Google coming in.
Very exciting.
And it was just an awesome event.
As every year it's going, it's getting higher and higher. So even next year, I'm already getting tingles for waiting for next year. So to see that keep growing, we're doing something right.
All right. So Danielle Sherman, we applaud you. Thank you.
Very good.
Also, along the lines of the startup ecosystem, we're moving with Startup Hawaii, which both Tony and I are both a part of. And Startup Hawaii is part of the Startup America partnership. We're doing a few things. We're also bringing in some teachers to the Box Jelly in the form of a workshop from Luxor, who are former members of Adaptive Path, and they teach lean user experience. These are some of the best teachers in this topic in the world. So we're really happy to have them down. We've had to throw up all our money up front.
It's all right. We believe in the cause. This is world-class leaders. We're flying them in here because I believe in Hawaii.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that's what we're doing on that path. And with Startup Hawaii, we have a lot of other very interesting things coming up in the future. So I'm very, very optimistic for the kind of startup scene out here in Hawaii.
We're also continually, you're working with Hank Rogers too, aren't you not?
Right. So along those lines, we have three different pieces. One is building skills, which is in the form of the workshops and different classes
Like
that
what we're doing right now.
And then building teams, which is a startup weekend is supposed to do, start building teams and making companies. And then taking those companies and scaling them is what we plan to do with the Accelerator project with Hank Rogers. So so far it's been like a wild ride. We were putting together, right, this past week I've just been getting ideas from different people, and this coming week I'll be doing the same thing. And then we're going to put those different ideas together, figure out what works best for Hawaii in our opinion, and then take that and make it happen. So we'll be giving you updates on that as well as the box jelly.
As well as the box jelly. With the box jelly, we're also moving forward. We're still expanding with our new things. So we're expanding the box jelly, working on the infrastructure, going to events. This week's been fun, huh?
Yeah. And as always, it's a place to work,
place to meet,
a place to build.
Work the way you live.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of Think Tech. But first, we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation, which supports a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including Think Tech.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Miko on Maui and Helco on the Big Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company, and CEO of CBI Polymers, a tech company in Hawaii. Okay, Duke, that wraps it up this week. Remember, you can watch Think Tech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Duke does. For additional times, check out OC16.tv.
You bet, Jay. For lots more Think Tech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on Think Tech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor or volunteer and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidel. Thanks for joining us on Think Tech. You can watch this show throughout the week and tune in next Sunday evening for our next important weekly episode.
And I'm Duke Oishi. Aloha, everyone.